Hello everybody and welcome back to the Incuba's channel. Today we're going to be discussing how to solve quadratic expressions. The idea is that we are going to be discussing future topics that will be a little more complex, and we want you to have a greater understanding of the initial ones that can be a guide to understanding more complex subjects. So we'll be discussing how to solve quadratic expressions. Now, a typical quadratic expression is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So y is ax squared plus bx plus c. Now the x is the unknowns we're going to be figuring out during our discussion. Now I'll use a simple example. Let's use the equation y is equals to x squared minus 5x plus 6. So with that, we are going to use a simple method of factorization. For what we're going to be doing in the future, we'll factorize. So if you factorize, it is a simple 5-step solution to solving quadratic expressions. Now, before I go into that, let's go into basic rules of adding and multiplying numbers. If you multiply a negative number with a positive number, the result is always going to be negative. If you multiply a positive number by a negative number, the result again will be negative. If you multiply a positive number with some other positive number, the result will be positive. And of course, if you multiply a negative number and another negative number, the result will be positive. Now, having that in mind, our first step in solving a quadratic expression is to multiply the first item and the last item of that expression. If you do that, you get what we call a product. Then whatever is left in the middle of the equation becomes the sum. So P is if you multiply the first item and the last item, you get a product. Then the sum is what is left in the middle. Let us use our example of x squared minus 5x plus 6. If you multiply x squared and 6, that will give us 6x squared as product. Then what's left in the middle? What's left in the middle is going to be minus 5x. So we want to look for two numbers such that if you add them, they give you the sum of minus 5x. If you do multiply them, you get a product of 6x squared. Easily, numbers that can come into mind is 2 and 3. But we need to put them through the signs to see if they qualify exactly to be the factors that we will use. Let's try minus 2. If you multiply minus 2 and plus 3, we'll get minus 6, which does not qualify as a product. Remember, our product is 6x squared, which is positive. If you use plus 2 and minus 3, it again does not qualify, because if you add them, you get either minus x or plus x for those two options I've discussed above. Now, if you do a plus 2 and plus 3, of course you get a 6. But if you add them, you get plus 5 as sum. And remember, our sum is minus 5. But if you do use minus 2 and minus 3, it qualifies for what we want to do. If you do minus 2 times minus 3, you get a plus 6. But if you add minus 2 and minus 3, you get a minus 5 as sum. So that qualifies. So in line 2 of the equation, we're going to put in those two factors in place of the middle item. That makes our equation look like x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 6, and we equate it to 0. That's line 2. Now, with that, the line 2 now has 4 items on the line, so we're going to bracket them in 2s. So you first of all take x squared minus 2x into a bracket, and then you now leave the minus outside and do 3x plus 6 in another bracket, and we equate it to 0. That's 3. Now line 4 is that we're going to remove the brackets. Now, removing the brackets, looking for something that is common, something that you keep outside that is common to both elements of the bracket. So if you use x, for instance, you could see that in the first part, x goes into x squared and leaves x behind, goes into 2x and leaves 2 behind. So you're going to have x into x minus 2 as first part. If you use minus 3, it also goes into 3x and 6 and gives you another x minus 2. Now, having that in line 4 makes it look like we have items inside the bracket and items outside the bracket. If you look at items inside the bracket, that's x minus 2. Then items outside the bracket is x minus 3. So putting them together, you now have in bracket x minus 2 and another bracket x minus 3 is equals to 0. So if those are equal to 0, then x is 2 and 3, which is the factors that will derive. And that's just how to factorize. Thanks for listening, and thanks for viewing. And please do leave behind comments on things you want us to discuss further about. Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.